Someone used a gym microphone to announce something they absolutely should not have.
Okay, so it was me. But honestly, the intention was completely wholesome, I swear.
I was on a treadmill, 40 people stared. I wanted to evaporate on the spot.
Inspired by the kind of story you'd find on Reddit. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a packed gym, every treadmill is taken, every bench is occupied. And then, a voice booms across the entire room and announces something deeply, catastrophically personal about you. Now, what was announced? And more importantly, who on earth pressed that button?
I cannot. I genuinely cannot. Just hearing that intro makes me want to crawl inside a locker and live there forever.
Okay, so full disclosure, it was me. It was absolutely me. But before you judge, you have to hear the full story because honestly, it was a complete misunderstanding, and I feel terrible, like genuinely.
He feels terrible. She feels like a piece of public property. Let us set the scene. It is a Tuesday evening. The gym is absolutely heaving. That's British for packed beyond comfort. Sophie has just joined this gym. It is her first proper week. And Jake, well, Jake has been a member for 2 years and fancies himself something of a local celebrity.
I know people, okay? I'm a social person. I like to make connections. The staff know my name, the regulars say hi, I have a social circle at the gym. That's a normal thing.
A social circle is when a group of people you know regularly spend time together. But Jake's version of a social circle is basically just shouting at everyone he's ever seen twice.
That is okay, that's a little bit fair.
Sophie had been quietly working up the courage to go to this gym for 3 weeks. She'd driven past it. She'd looked at the website. She'd even bought new trainers. She is, by her own admission, someone who struggles with social anxiety, that creeping, uncomfortable nervousness you feel in new social situations, especially around strangers.
Dead right, social anxiety is basically when being around other people, especially people you don't know, makes you feel proper nervous and self-conscious. Like you're convinced everyone's watching you and judging every single thing you do. That's me in a new gym. Every time.
And I knew that. She'd told me. Which makes what I did even more. Look, we're getting there. Just let me explain first.
Sophie arrives at the gym. She has her earphones in, her head down, classic, do not speak to me energy. She signs in at the desk, gets her locker sorted, and finds a treadmill in the back corner. Perfect. Anonymous, safe, and then Jake spots her.
I was so happy to see a familiar face. Like honestly, I get excited. I wanted her to feel welcome because she'd said she was nervous, so I thought, I'm gonna make this a big deal, show everyone she's cool, break the ice for her.
Break the ice, right. So, for anyone learning, breaking the ice means doing something to make a situation feel less awkward, especially when you're meeting people for the first time. It's when you say or do something to get a conversation started and ease the tension. That's what Jake thought he was doing.
That was genuinely the intention.
The gym has one of those staff microphone systems. It's normally used for class announcements and the occasional birthday shout-out. Jake, being on famously friendly terms with the front desk staff, had used it once before to wish a regular goodbye on their last day. He knew it existed, he knew how to access it, and in this moment, he saw an opportunity.
I went up to the desk and I said, look, my friend just joined, can I do a little welcome thing on the mic? And the guy, he's like, yes, sure, just keep it short. And I'm thinking, this is gonna be so wholesome. She's gonna love it. Everyone's gonna clap and she'll feel like a celebrity.
I want to make it very clear that nobody asked for this. Nobody. At no point did I say, Jake, please announce my presence at the gym to 40 strangers while I'm sweating on a treadmill.
Jake takes the microphone, the music dips, the gym goes, and this is key, almost completely quiet. Because apparently this is a Tuesday evening tradition. When the mic comes on, people actually listen.
I did not know that. I thought people would just half hear it and move on. I didn't know it was like a whole thing where everyone actually stops.
The music just faded, and I looked up from my treadmill and I thought, oh no, something's happening, and then I heard his voice.
So I said, and I want to be clear, I thought this was sweet, I said, hey everyone, can we give a massive welcome to Sophie? She's new here and she's been working really hard to get over her issues and finally come in. And then I added, and this is where it went wrong, I added. She's been really self-conscious about the whole thing, so everyone be nice.
I wanted to die. I actually genuinely wanted to disappear from the face of the planet. 40 people all turned and looked directly at me, and some of them started clapping.
The clapping, it must be said, was very warm, very genuine. The gym, to its credit, responded with enthusiasm. But for Sophie, this was the opposite of helpful, because here's the thing about social anxiety. The attention doesn't feel like kindness, it feels like a spotlight. And Sophie was now standing in the biggest spotlight of her life, on a treadmill, slightly out of breath, with 40 strangers staring at her and applauding her personal struggles.
I was mortified, absolutely mortified. That's a good word, actually. Mortified means feeling so embarrassed that you want to hide completely. Like the embarrassment is so intense it's almost physical. That was me. I just kept pressing the speed button on the treadmill like I could run away from the situation.
And then she looked at me, across the gym, and the look on her face, honestly, I knew immediately. Like the second I saw her expression, I thought, Jake, you have made a catastrophic error of judgment here, buddy.
But it wasn't over, because Jake, bless him, decided that the solution to the problem he had created was to come over and talk to her, immediately, in front of everyone.
I thought I could smooth things over. Like if I went over and was really warm and funny, she'd laugh and it'd become a funny moment. I was trying to salvage the situation.
He walked over, and by this point I have my earphones in, I'm staring forward. I'm giving every possible signal that says, do not approach me. And he pulls one earphone out of my ear and says, "You okay? Did you like the surprise?"
In hindsight, reading the room might have helped.
Reading the room? Yes, that's exactly what you failed to do, Jake. Reading the room means understanding the mood and atmosphere of a social situation and adjusting your behavior to match it. Like, if everyone looks tense and quiet, that's not the time for a microphone announcement.
Reading the room, a skill Jake demonstrably did not deploy on this occasion. Sophie, to her enormous credit, did not cause a scene. She simply said, through gritted teeth, "We'll talk about this later," and put her earphone back in. And Jake, wisely, finally, retreated.
I went back to my weights. I couldn't look at her for like 20 minutes. I kept doing reps and just thinking about what I'd done.
The worst part, people kept being nice. Like the woman on the treadmill next to me leaned over and said, "Well done for coming in, it's hard at first." And I had to smile and say thank you when inside I was absolutely screaming.
There is a particular kind of social torture where everyone around you means well, and yet everything is terrible. This was that. After about 30 minutes, Sophie finished her workout and went to get her bag. And that's when something unexpected happened.
A woman came up to me by the lockers, lovely woman, maybe a bit older than me, and she said, "Your friend is absolutely mad, but he clearly adores you." And then she said, "I've been coming here for 6 months and I still feel like an outsider. You've already got people cheering for you. That's dead good, that is."
See, this is what I'm saying. The intention was right.
The intention and the execution are two very different things, Jake.
And yet, there was something in what the woman said that stuck with Sophie, because feeling like an outsider, that sharp, isolating sense that everyone else belongs and you don't, is something a lot of people carry into new social situations. And perhaps, just perhaps, Jake's catastrophically misjudged announcement had accidentally done something useful.
Feeling like an outsider is when you're in a group or a place and you feel like you don't belong, like everyone else knows the rules and fits in, and you're just on the outside looking in. And that woman was right. I'd walked in feeling like a total outsider. And somehow, through sheer chaos, I didn't feel that anymore. Everyone knew my name.
I'm not saying the method was right. I'm glad it helped. A little bit. Right, did it help a little bit?
A tiny bit, against my will. Do not do it again.
So they went for coffee after, as you do after one person humiliates another person and it accidentally works out. And over coffee, they actually talked about it properly, in the way that two people who have known each other long enough to be honest do.
She told me that in social situations she has this habit of small talk, like light, casual conversation about nothing important, just to warm up, and that small talk actually helps her get comfortable. And I was like, wait, I could have just introduced you to one person, just one person, a normal small talk introduction.
Small talk is such an underrated skill, actually. It's that easy, surface-level conversation, whether the commute, how busy the gym is, that helps people feel comfortable with each other before they get to anything more personal. Jake skipped every step of small talk and went straight to public address system. There were about 14 missing steps there.
I am a go big or go home type of person. We've established this.
They also talked about something Sophie called a mutual understanding, that unspoken agreement between two people about how they'll behave with each other. A mutual understanding is when both people share the same expectations without necessarily writing them down or spelling them out formally.
Exactly, like we'd had a mutual understanding. I thought that Jake knew I was anxious and would be gentle about it. And he had a completely different mutual understanding where he thought that meant do something big to make her feel special. Same words, completely different interpretation.
Which is why communication is important. Which is ironic, given that I communicated to 40 people when I should have just communicated to one.
And what about the gym? Did Sophie go back?
She did, I did. The next day, actually, and honestly, people smiled at me. The woman from the lockers waved. The guy at the desk said, "Hey, Sophie." And for the first time in my life, I felt like I had a proper social presence at a gym, not because I'd earned it slowly the normal way, because Jake catastrophically gift-wrapped it for me with a microphone and no filter.
A social presence? That's the thing. Having a social presence means people know who you are, you exist in the social landscape of a place. People acknowledge you and include you. And Sophie went from 0 social presence to maximum social presence in about 4 seconds.
4 humiliating, mortifying, absolutely chaotic seconds. But he's not wrong.
There is a lesson buried somewhere in this story, though I'm not entirely sure what it is. Perhaps it's that good intentions, even catastrophically executed, sometimes land. Perhaps it's that the gym is a deeply underestimated social environment. Or perhaps it's simply this: never, under any circumstances, give Jake access to a microphone.
That last one's probably the main takeaway, honestly.
That is absolutely the main takeaway.
And that is where we leave today's story, somewhere between mortification and gratitude, in a gym cafe over 2 very well-earned coffees.
If this story made you laugh or cringe, or both at the same time, honestly both is valid, drop us a like. It genuinely helps more people find us.
And follow us so you never miss another story like this one. We're here every week, and I promise not all of them are this mortifying. Mostly.
Subscribe to English Through Stories, new episodes every week, and every one of them will teach you something genuinely useful about English, even if the situations involved are genuinely unhinged.
See you on the next one, and Sophie, I'm sorry. Again, make you laugh. Drop us a like.
Hit follow and never miss a story.
Subscribe to English Through Stories. Find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. See you on the next episode.